What was inside this 4,500-year-old pyramid, standing 480 feet above the ground, that made researchers send a robotic camera deep into its inner chamber? The robotic camera stopped at one point, where a stone slab blocked the path. Researchers believed that behind the slab was a mystery buried for over 4,500 years. They had to uncover it at any cost. So, they equipped the robot with a drill. After drilling into the slab, they inserted a camera through the hole. What it saw on the other side was something that hadn't been witnessed by human eyes in 4,500 years. Welcome once again to Unwritten Past. In Egypt, there are a total of 138 tall pyramids. These pyramids have withstood countless earthquakes and violent storms over thousands of years, and not one has moved an inch. Among them, the tallest and most magnificent is the Great Pyramid of Giza. The base area of this pyramid spans 13 acres, large enough to fit 9 football fields inside. According to estimates, the Great Pyramid was constructed using approximately 2.3 million massive stones, some of which weighed up to 50 tons each. The total weight of the pyramid is estimated to be around 6 million tons, equivalent to the weight of 12 Burj Khalifas. But the big question is, why were these gigantic, luxurious pyramids built? Thousands of years ago, when humans didn't even have proper tools, how did they level the pyramid walls inch by inch? How were 50-ton stones cut into perfect square shapes and lifted to a height of 480 feet without cranes or cement? And who were the engineers who not only made the pyramid earthquake resistant, but also aligned each of its sides at exactly a 51.5-degree angle? Let's explore all of that in today's video. Challenge 1. For centuries, researchers have been trying to understand the pyramid's construction techniques. One of the greatest mysteries is how the pyramid's sides were aligned perfectly to the north, south, east, and west without a compass. Some experts believe that ancient architects first searched for stable land that could bear the weight of millions of tons. Then, using pole stars, stars that help determine Earth's true north, they aligned each side of the pyramid. No compass, no optical instruments, just the basic star alignment technique, executed with astonishing precision. Challenge 2. Next came the challenge of leveling the 13-acre base. Even the slightest misalignment would have made building such a massive structure impossible. Since they had no laser levelers or bulldozers, experts believe the builders may have constructed barriers around the site, filled them with water, and used the water level as a guide. Any part of the land not matching the water level would be manually cut and leveled using chisels and hammers. Another theory suggests they used a simple leveling tool made from 2 vertical wooden pieces, with a string and a hanging stone in the center. If the stone aligned with the center mark, the surface was level. Challenge 3. Once the site was leveled and directions marked, construction began. They needed enormous stones, but without grinders or chainsaws, how were these stones cut? The surprising answer: a plant, specifically arsenic mixed with copper. Researchers believe the ancient chisels weren't made of pure copper as it's too soft. Instead, they were made using copper alloyed with arsenic. Workers would strike large stones with wooden mallets and copper arsenic chisels for hours, slowly shaping them into perfect squares or rectangles. Challenge 4. These stones, made from a special type of limestone, were quarried in the city called Tura, located about 250 kilometers from Giza. The problem now was transportation. Each stone weighed about 50,000 kilograms, roughly the same as 3 passenger buses, and they needed to transport millions of them. There were no trucks, no cranes, and no suitable animals for this task. Yet the ancient Egyptians managed it. How? Using the Nile River. They loaded these stones onto massive wooden ships and sailed them from Tora to Giza. Experts believe each loading and unloading operation required an army of at least 500 workers. Now, even after cutting and transporting the stones, a major question remained. How were they lifted so high? Experts suggest that before construction began, the layout had already been planned. Either spiral ramps were built around the pyramid or zigzagging paths were created to drag stones upward. In either case, massive teams of laborers would have hauled 50-ton blocks to dizzying heights. Construction wasn't just about placing stones on top of each other. Inside the pyramid were chambers, compartments, and even narrow shafts. But the thing that shocked experts the most wasn't the layout, it was the material used. Inside the main chambers, the stones weren't limestone, they were granite, one of the hardest stones on Earth, second only to diamond. So even with today's technology, granite requires diamond-tipped grinders to be cut. So how did the Egyptians manage this 4,500 years ago? Eventually, experts cracked the mystery. The granite was cut using a special toothless saw. Heavy pressure was applied on both ends of the saw, while sand and crushed stones were sprinkled between the saw and the granite. This abrasion slowly cut the granite. The process was so slow that cutting just one massive block took up to 4 months. So why did they go to such extremes? How many workers built these pyramids simultaneously? And what did the robotic camera finally see behind that sealed stone slab? Something no human had seen in 4,500 years. All that and more will be revealed in part 2 of this video. Thank you for your love, likes, and amazing comments. See you in the next incredible chapter of Unwritten Past.